Hi, welcome. Okay, so I just got this in the mail. I just received it, just brought up from the office. So I thought I'd sort of get this unwrapped. Okay, so this is the Rune Oracle and book card pack. Okay, so it comes with, it's got a bit of a hard cover there. And you open it up and there's the deck that sits there in its box. And it's got the guidebook here, which looks like it's got quite a lot of information to it. So there's your contents. What are runes? Casting the runes and their meanings, going further with an index, and then acknowledgements. So let's have a look at the book. Okay, so there's quite a lot with the folklore, the beliefs behind the runes. So it goes into quite a lot of information. So it's got quite a bit of stuff here. The image, the photography is beautiful. The card imagery, with Odin, the Hanged Man, talks a little bit about that, with origins of the runes, the letters and their meanings. So it goes into quite a bit of information, casting the runes, preparation for a reading. So it does do quite a lot of information here. So yeah, quite a lot. The 1 rune cast, the 3 rune cast, Thor's cross, and it gives you a sample reading, and then it does give you the Celtic cross as well as a sample. So then it's got the runes and their meanings. So how to use the section, talks about how to use each page. So it shows you that it's got the name of the title, the letter, the title of the card, what it means. It's got quite a lot of information here, and it's got quite a lot down here, down to even the reversed meanings as well. It's got deity, tree, animal, number, color, bird, the plant, and then the sound. So quite a lot of information for each of the runes coming into it. So it's really, really cool. So after that, let's have a look. So with going further, it's got deepening your rune work with buying runes with some of the crystals, making your own runes, using runes as a talisman, runic meditation, which would be quite good to explore, and then of course the index. So quite a lot of information. Okay, so it comes in a box like this. So it's got the name of the it's got the name of the rune, it's got the rune itself, then it's got the translation, the earthly meanings, and then the spiritual meanings on each of the cards. So hi Ashley, how are you? I'm just exploring the rune cards at this stage. So I just got this in the mail, so I thought I'd share it with you before we do some 1 card readings. Let me just turn that heater off. Look, it's getting warm in here. Right, so these are the runes here. So you can see. Okay. So these are the runes here. Oh, and then it's got these cards, it's got some spreads on it, so they're quite easy to do. So just the 1 card, the 3 rune cast, Thor's cross, and then the Celtic cross. So that's interesting. So I'm going to leave them in the box. Put that in there. Okay. So that's what I've got. That's the runes, just to have a look. So let's just have a look and see what they are in the book. Oh, so why have I got these cards here. Oh, talismans. Oh, that's not a talisman. Oh, these have got talismans on them. Okay, so these are used for the talisman. So let's take those out. Let's take out the talismans and see. Okay, and then the actual cards. So they're talismans. So like for Bacana, carry this card to encourage ideas, aid creative endeavors, nurture a project, and help a family. Sowalu, carry this card for strength, success in all ventures, good health, and speedy recovery. Elgas, carry this card for protection, courage, help from others, and good decision making. Ansus, open your mind, connect with a higher power, broaden your horizons, and evoke wisdom. Rado, to speed your journey, ease a transition, aid communication, bring good news, and find your spiritual way. Wunjo, carry this card for joy and happiness, harmony and partnerships, positive family relations, and good teamwork. Fihu, carry this card to achieve a goal, attract money, succeed in business, and attain a promotion or a new job. That's cool. I like those. Right. So let's have a look. Ashley, right. Let's do you a card. Because what we're going to do next is right. I'm doing free 10 one rune card for reflection. And then if you want a tarot and oracle reading, I've got the Magical Nordic Tarot with the Yggdrasil Oracle, as well as a rune card for the donations. But Ashley, so let's have a look. So Ashley, you want a rune oracle. Okay. Ashley, you've got Jera, the translation of harvest. Earthly meanings is reward, fruition, maturity, and growth. Spiritual meaning is right action and natural law. So it feels like everything's being harvested for you at the moment. It feels like there's a sense of everything sort of coming into fruition. It's a reminder as you grow that things develop. So let's sort of bring this in a bit closer. Whoops. Sum that up a bit. Okay, so let's have a read of this one here. Jera. The word Jera means year and also harvest. This rune represents the reaping of rewards that comes after long and patient effort. The Jera rune is the only one in the alphabet that is made up of two separate parts, which could represent the internal progression from summer to winter and back again. The rune poems all stress the warm and bounteous part of that cycle. Summer is a joy to men, says the Anglo-Saxon rune poem. The earth opens up its fruit to the rich and to the poor. This rune symbolizes the natural coming to fruition of previous actions, just as the annual harvest is a natural consequence of sowing seeds and tending plants. Generally, this is a joyful rune, one that signals a time of abundance and reward. But consequences can follow wrong as well as right effort. So this rune may represent the hand of justice and retribution by extension. It is sometimes said to represent legal judgment for better or worse and binding agreements such as contracts. Within Jira, there is a recognition of the movement of life, so the seeker should not rest on his or her laurels. Although Jira is a time of celebration, it is also a time when you should be looking to the future and sowing the seeds for the next harvest. The cycle continues. There's no actual reversed meanings of this. Enjoy the days of plenty, because days of hardship could come around again. So it's just a reminder of the cycle of life. So the deity is Frey. The tree is oak. There's no animal for it. The number is 12. The color is actually light blue. There's no bird. Plant is rosemary, and the sound is like a Y. Yera? Maybe it's Yera. Not Yera, Yera. So that's your one there. So yeah, you get to have a reading. I'm expecting it to be quiet. I hadn't even typed it up as being for a free readings. I just put that in as sort of an extra. You're welcome, Ashley. You're welcome. So I was quite pleased with this deck coming into play. I'm quite excited to sort of dive into it a little bit. Have a little bit of a look. What are runes? Rune lore. Runes are a writing system, an ancient alphabet, but they are much more besides the Germanic and Nordic peoples of Northern Europe and Scandinavia. The Vikings, the Goths, the Saxons, the Anglers used these mysterious symbols for all kinds of ritual purpose. Runes have always been seen as a sacred source of mystic power. At its root, the very word rune means a secret or something whispered. The association of writing with magic, which may seem fanciful to the modern mind, would have made perfect sense to the people who lived by the runes. Writing, and with it the ability to read, provided a doorway to the treasure house of accumulated knowledge. It allows the literate rune masters to access a deep well of understanding and gain insights that were closed to the unlettered masses. So it's not surprising that the runic symbols served as a form of sorcery. A set of keys to hidden wisdom in modern times, they continue to be a tool for divination, a means of exploring the hidden corners of a person's psyche or the unknown pathways of fate. The beliefs behind the runes. The runes were part and parcel of the broader Germano-Nordic belief system. The peoples of the European North revered a colourful cast of gods and goddesses about whom they told wonderful stories. These tales dealt with the origin and the structure of the universe, the deeds and the tribulations of heroes, with the dark glamour of war and battle, with love, jealousy, and betrayal. Among the deities in the pantheon were Odin, god of wind, war, and wisdom, his wife Frigg, goddess of motherhood, and their sons, Thor, god of thunder, and Baldur, the god of light, who was killed by the trickster god Loki. Then there is the sea god Njord, his son Frey, lord of summer, and Frey's twin sister Freya, goddess of love. But the Germanic supernatural world was populated with many more otherworldly beings, the Valkyries, the Swan Maidens, that figure prominently in the operas of Richard Wagner. were concerned with the fate. Their function was to decide which warriors were to die in battle and then to whisk their spirits off to Valhalla, the feasting hall of the slain. There were the Norns, witchy sisters who seemed to be the antecedents of the prophesying hags in Shakespeare's Macbeth, and also the fairy godmothers who mould the destiny of Sleeping Beauty in the fairy tale. I'll continue. Right, May. Let's do you a rune reading. Card for reflection. Okay, May. A card for reflection. Your card is Othella. Translation is home. Earthly meaning, inheritance, property, family, and responsibilities. And spiritual meaning of universal truths. Othella. Oh, Ashley, thank you. Now let's do Othella. Oops. Othella. Sometimes placed last in the runic alphabet at the end of the journey, so to speak. It is the rune Othella. It means home or homeland and carries with it the idea of ancestry in all its forms. The symbol may represent the roof and wooden beams of a house or great hall. Certainly the word Othella contains the idea of an ancestral home or estate. It can also stand for wealth that is in some way locked down, as opposed to portable wealth, represented by Fuhu, the first letter of the Furthak. When Othella occurs in a casting matters concerning the home, family, and possessions may require careful management. An inheritance or a new acquisition may be indicated, but the rune also encompasses the idea of bequest in the broader sense, the characteristics we inherit from our family line. Many tales, such as the biblical parable of the prodigal son, tells us that home is where the heart is. We are all inclined to leave our upbringing behind to make our way in the world, but that journey often turns out to be a quest for the security of home and hearth. This rune reminds us that the lessons handed down by our elders should be integrated with our own insights if we are truly to understand life's meanings. Reversed meaning, face up to your responsibilities and do not expect help from others. A reversed Othello can suggest that you've wasted the gift you've received, whether an inheritance or the support of the family, and are behaving immaturely. All our journeys end with a homecoming, with deities Odin, tree hawthorn, animal summon, number 23, colour deep yellow, bird raven, plant daisy, and its sound of an oo. So that's your message. Right. Ashley, thank you very much for your donation. Wow, totally appreciate that. So your question, please. So your question, Ashley. So let's grab the Magical Nordic Tarot. So I just need if you've got a question that you want me to answer. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Right. Why is family always arguing? Okay. So what is the root to why the family is always arguing. Why is the family always arguing? It's interesting. Why is the family always arguing with each other? Why is the family always arguing? Is that card's going to go into that one? That goes together with that one. Right? So why is the family always arguing? Why is the family always arguing? That's an interesting one. Okay, so let's have a look and see what we've got here. Family seems to be, okay, so boundaries seem to be crossed. There doesn't seem to be any boundaries within the family unit. Okay, so that's a big thing here. There doesn't seem to be any boundaries. Let's put this. Okay, it doesn't feel like there's any boundaries within the family unit. That's why there does seem to be some arguments. There doesn't seem to be a boundary set, some rules set. Feels like things, I want to say there's a lack of communication in a way. There seems to be a lack of experience in how they deal with their passions and how they feel about stuff. Does seem to be a lack of experience as well. So there does seem to be this lack of boundaries. There doesn't seem to be any boundaries in regards to moving forward, being able to shift into smoother waters. Doesn't seem to be like there's no set rules or no expectations of how people treat each other in many ways. So I do believe that there is a need to really set down some rules or set down some boundaries in the situation within the family unit here. Okay, and so we have here about the sense of, this is a huge impact. Okay, this is an impact on the family, and it's very much about how nurturing the decisions. Decisions do need to be nurtured. They do need to be looked at very, very carefully. And it's all about being able to stand in our power, but with respect for others, being able to speak your truth without being mean, without being nasty within each other. So I think that's really important. It does feel like there's a lack of boundaries in the situation, a sense of not being able to be assertive without being aggressive. There does seem to be a sense of aggressiveness coming through. It does seem to be about each person trying to be stronger than the other without respecting others within the family unit here. And so your rune Lotus is all about the sense of there is no self-restraint. Definitely get the sense straight away. The word that I got here with the Lotus rune was all about there was no self-restraint. There's no again, there's that no thought before spoken. There's no thoughts before being spoken. So nobody really thinks about anything before they actually speak. So there's a way to sort of be able to work through this process, being able to think about things before speaking, making sure boundaries are created, the understanding of the impact that it has on each of you. when these things are not taken into consideration, when you're not able to stand in your own power. And standing in your own power is not about being nasty, or it's not about being mean or anything like that. It's being able to be respectful to others as well as to yourself. And I think that's part of the process, is when you're assertive, it doesn't mean that you're mean or nasty to anyone. When you're creating boundaries, it doesn't mean you're being selfish or mean. It's just saying, hey, look, this is where I stand. This is what I expect. This is what I would like. Is there some way that we can compromise, that we can sort of come to some sort of agreement, so that we're not fighting and we're not arguing, and we're able to live in a bit more harmony. Harmony seems to be really important, and it comes from having the experience and how to deal with this situation. I do feel like there's a need for a mediator, or someone that's able to sort of bring some sense of harmony to the situation, Ashley. So what do you think? Working with the Magical Nordic Tarot, the Yggdrasil, and the Rune Oracle. So I hope that gives you a little bit of clarity with things that are going on, and maybe some of the things that you can do to maybe help or assist in this part of the journey. Quite an interesting sort of combination of cards and how they sort of all come together, Ashley. So yeah, hopefully that sort of helps. Oh, by the way, the Yggdrasil card is Urdabrun. Urdabrunn. Urdabrun. I can do a little bit more information there. I'm just trying to work this out. Always takes a little bit to okay. So Urdabrunna is one of the magical springs under the root of Yggdrasil. It's the fountain of fate. The three wise women, Urdur, Verdandi, and Skuld, the Norns who weave the fabric of humankind's fate, live by the spring. They regularly take the water of the well and the white mud around it and apply them to the tree trunk of Yggdrasil, which gives the tree of life its white color and prevents its decay. The card is significant for the seeker's performance. It reminds the seeker that actions change the web of fate, much like neurons of the brain change and evolve. With each decision we make and each event that occurs in our life, the card reminds us to be attentive to decisions and actions, and bears witness that actions have consequences. This card represents the future outcome of the seeker's question or the future path. Important to pay close attention to the placement. Her thread is the ever-evolving thread of something from the past that has come back to serve as a reminder or to hunt the seeker. So, Urdabrunn. Decision, performance, and impact. And I know it's going to make a big impact. Read the description box down below. What I'm doing today is I am doing 10 free Rune Oracle cards for reflection. Okay, if you've got a question or something like that, or you want something a bit more in depth, yes, it's a donation. It is tarot and oracle reading, and it can be any amount. It can be $1, but you will get a you're welcome, Ashley. So Juliana, you will get a free Rune Oracle. I'm doing free 10 1 rune cards for reflection. So you get that anyway. So what's your rune card? Okay, Uruz. Okay, your card is Uruz, which is your translation is wild ox. Earthly meanings are strength, courage, determination, and opportunity. Spiritual meaning is initiation, life change, and meetings one's destiny. So this is your card. So let's just bring this down a bit. Okay, so let's have a look at this, Uruz. So let's have a look and see what your card, give us a little bit more information there. So let's have a look. Okay, wild ox. The literal meaning of the word Uruz is Urox, the huge, untamable ox once native to Northern Europe. This rune represents primal power and signifies challenge. Long before the time of runes, the mighty Urox held a fascination for European peoples. It often crops up in cave paintings that date back thousands of years. The Anglo-Saxon rune poem, that is a key source of knowledge on the runes, speaks admiringly of the animal, describing it as the wanderer of the moors, a mettlesome beast. It is believed to have been used as a rite of passage. Boys mark the transition to manhood by hunting it. The rune Uruz is a picture of the horns of the ox, and like the ox, it stands for physical vitality, tenacity, and raw power. It can signal great or dramatic challenge, one that may result in life-changing events or evolve new responsibilities. Uruz signifies that the seeker has the necessary drive to achieve success and urges that the new opportunity should be embraced. It is time to grab the bull by the horns. When Uruz is upside down, it warns of ill health or mental weakness, which may mean the seeker will struggle to overcome his or her current difficulties. Imminent changes may not be as well as expected. It could be a threat masquerading as an opportunity, one that should be spawned. So need to be aware. Only by facing your greatest weakness can your real strength be revealed. Deity is Njord, Njord. The tree is elm. Animal urochs. The number is 2. Color is green. Bird, there's no bird. The plant is moss, and the sound is u. Is you. So it's representing primal power and signifies challenge. So the meanings were strength, courage, determination, and opportunity. Spiritual meaning is initiation, life change, and destiny. Okay, so that's your card for today, for reflection. So take a moment to reflect on this card. Okay. You're welcome. You're welcome. So what was I up to? So I was reading the cards, wasn't I? I was reading the information here. So what I'm doing is I'm going through and reading the book And as we go through the book, as people come in, if they want a reading, I'll do them a reading. So let's have a look. The stories of the Norse and Germanic people speak of warlike giants and of elves who are in essence nature sprites, like the Naiads and Dryads of Greek myth. Dwarfs play a part in Germanic mythology. They tend to be squat, ugly, and concerned with mining and metalwork, exactly as depicted in the works of J.R.R. Tolkien. In fact, many of the Germanic gods and lesser creatures fit types and patterns that we identify in other mythologies, from Greece to Persia to South America. They all draw into the same archetypes, which is why they still mean something to us today, even though we recognize them as characters and stories rather than their supernatural beings. Okay? So the 9 spiritual realms. On a cosmogonic level, the people of the runes imagined an abode of the gods called Asgard and 8 other worlds, including the earthly realm. All these worlds were supported by an infinite ash tree called Yggdrasil. They also believed in a coming apocalypse called Ragnarok, often rendered in English as the twilight of the gods, though twilight would more correctly translate as doom. At the time of a Ragnarok, all the gods would be destroyed and a new green world would emerge from the wreckage. The universe to them was cyclical. Therefore, it had a beginning and an end, and the end would give rise to a new beginning. It is interesting that some 21st century cosmologists think that the same may be true of our physical universe. These myths still live with us today in other ways. The days of the week, for example, bear in disguised form the names of some of the old Germanic gods. Thursday is Thor's day. Wednesdays is Woden's day. There are other traces of these beliefs in our modern day culture. The Christian festival of Easter takes its name from the Norse celebration of the end of winter, and the word hell is nothing other than the name of the Germanic god of the underworld, Hel. The fir tree and the mistletoe that are an integral part of modern Christmas celebrations were sacred to the pagan peoples of the north. So the runes are no mere fossils. Those letters, so rich in meaning, are a living part of our ancient heritage, one that has spread far beyond the bounds of chilly northern Europe. Millions of us can justly claim to be children of the runes. Okay, origins of the runes. Those Norse legends say that the runes were earned by the god Odin through a hard ordeal. The Havamal, a 9th century epic poem from Iceland, contains an apparently first-person account of how it came about. For 9 days and nights, Odin hung on a tree, a sacrifice to myself. All the time he was suffering from a spear wound, possibly self-inflicted. At the end of the 9th day, I gazed in the depths and shouting out loud, I grasped the runes and fell down from the tree. The strange tale of denial and resurrection seems to contain echoes of the Christian story of the crucifixion, and also brings to mind the tarot card depicting the hanged man. Whatever the connections between these different traditions, there is certainly some deep symbolism at work, an archetypal tale about how universal truth or personal wisdom can be attained only through self-imposed pain, trial, and hardship. Theories and hypothesis. Historians of language and writing tell a different, but barely less obscure story of the origins of the runic symbols. There are various theories. One hypothesis is that the ancestors of runes can be seen in rock markings made by Neolithic and Bronze Age people, such as those discovered at various locations throughout Northern Europe. Some of these symbols closely resemble runic letters, but this may be no more than a coincidence, and we have no idea what the Bronze Age symbols represent. Nonetheless, some students of rune lore are attached to the hypothesis because it seems to suggest that runes, a distinctive mark of Nordic identity, are a purely Nordic invention. It is more likely, however, that Germanic people from the north encountered already existing alphabets and adapted the letters to the sounds of their languages and the circumstances of their lives. One candidate for the precursor of runes is the ancient Greek script, Some runic letters are identical to their Greek counterparts. Bukana, for example, looks exactly like the Greek letter beta. So it could be that one of the Germanic people came in contact with Greek culture and borrowed their alphabet or elements of it. The Goths, an East Germanic people whose ambit at times stretched as far as the Greek-speaking Byzantine Empire, could have been the point of contact between the two cultures. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Another probably better theory is the runes are an adaptation of an Etruscan script that was in use in the Italian peninsula more than 2,000 years ago, before the rise of Rome. We know that the Germanic tribes were in contact with the people south of the Alps. In 1811, near Negova in Slovenia, archaeologists discovered acacia bronze helmets bearing Germanic names in Etruscan letters. The writing dates from the 2nd century CE and mentions unmistakably North European individuals such as Hargast the priest and Dubnos the pig slayer. The letters and their meanings. What is certain is that the runes with their stark, straight lines are designed to be cut or carved into a material such as stone or metal or wood. The word write in English is derived from a root that means scratch a hard surface. It is also known the symbols themselves began as pictograms, stylized pictures of things in the real world, such as animals, plants, and natural phenomena. The names of the letters reflect this. Euros, for example, means urok, a wild bull, and the letter looks like the horns of a bull. Isa means ice and seems to be a picture of an icicle, but the intention of some of the signs are obscure, and their names are a matter of scholarly conjecture, educated guesses. Over the centuries, several versions of the runic alphabet evolved. The most widely used runic alphabet is known as the Elder Furtak, a term arrived by combining the first 6 letters, F to K, into a single word. The TH sound is a single letter in this runic version. The version consists of 24 letters and was in use until the 7th century or so. There's a later version known as the Younger Furtak or the Danish Furtak, which consists of only 16 letters. Knowledge of runes was brought to the British Isles by Anglo-Saxon and Viking invaders. Here the rune rho, as the alphabet is also known, grew larger to accommodate the sounds of the nascent English language. This island version of the runic alphabet is known as the Futhurk. Because in England the names and the values of the letters have changed somewhat, consists of 33 letters. For purpose of divination, it is the 24 runes of the Elder Furtak that count. They are divided into 3 groups of 8. Each of these sets called a tier associated with a deity, Freya. The lusty Norse equivalent of Venus, Himdall, the watchman of the gods whose senses were so accurate he could hear grass grow, and Tar, who is associated with justice, the making of oaths, and the formalities of war. Freya's Et, the singular of Atir, consists of the letters Fuhu to Wunjo. They all convey a message about nurture, a reflection of the goddess's more mothering role. Hemdall's Et from Hagala to Sowalu speaks of an introspection of a monk-like meditativeness. Tir's Et from Tilwar's, Tir's alternative name to Dagar's, denotes warrior virtues and kingship, progress towards victory, and some of the successful outcome. The Atir constitutes a separate level of meaning, and the 3 gods do not always coincide with the presiding god of the individual rune. So if you say one Et predominates in a reading, then that is something the reader would do well to mark in the conjunction with resonance of the individual runes. In the end, the runes are an intuitive art like tarot or other forms of divination. A rune reading is all about perceiving and understanding the signs, the symbolism behind the letters, and the combination of letters. The ancient art was born in the snowy forestry of northern Europe and nurtured around the smoky hearths where our ancestors gathered to tell stories, and is the subject of this book, of course. Okay, so now we're talking about casting, preparing for a reading, and I'm going to do that next time. I think I'm going to finish up I just wanted to introduce a little bit of the runes. I want to sort of give a bit of an introduction, really, more than anything. And then next time when I do this again, I'm going to prepare for a reading, read a little bit more into it. So it's quite good. The at-a-glance cards included in the pack incorporate the essential information you need to read the runes. So it's quite good that you don't actually have to use the book if you're going to do a reading, which is really, really nice with this deck. So yeah, I just wanted to introduce them more than anything. Just wanted to share the a couple of readings with the cards, just to sort of get to know them a little bit before diving deeper into them. So yeah, I thought this is a really good set available. So it harnesses the power of the runic alphabet. Learn how to use the runes' wisdom to discover more about your relationships, your potential in your future. Gain insight into the fascinating history of runes and the ancient beliefs that shaped these mystical symbols. Features your 36 beautifully designed cards, including the 25 runic symbols that can be used for your own castings. And then we also have the talismans as well. The 7 runic talismans to carry with you in spiritual guidance. So I think that's quite cool. You can see the different background, the different backs to the cards, the different colors. So the green is the talisman and the blue is, of course, the cards for reading, for divination, meditation, reflection. So yeah, quite cool. Quite pleased with those. So quite pleased. So that's it from me. Just wanted to have a bit of a introduction, and maybe I'll do something. I'll do them again. So thank you for being with me.